Hello everybody. Can volcanoes trigger ozone layer depletion? Can global warming trigger earthquakes? With queries like this, with questions framed on topic like this, we come up with the third session of Current Affairs Special, Preliminary Examination Special 2025, in which we cover news, current affairs from June 2024 to April 2025. And without wasting time, let's see the questions which have been framed. Now, consider the first question. And let's see the first question. Consider the following statements. Earthquakes are caused by movements and interaction of tectonic plates. Climate change due to rising sea level and melting glaciers could impact earthquakes activity. Shallow focus earthquakes are more common than deep or intermediate focus earthquakes. And seismic activities occur in clusters, and the Vadati-Benioff earthquakes are more powerful. How many of the above mentioned statements are correct? See, if we talk about the first statement, earthquakes are caused by movements and interaction of tectonic. Anybody who is preparing for civil services knows this. This is correct. Nothing wrong in this. Climate change due to rising sea level and melting glaciers could impact earthquake activity. Definitely. Why? Because when sea level rises or when melting of the glaciers take place, the coastal area would be inundated. This volume of water exerts a pressure on the tectonic plates, which can lead to earthquakes. So that's also correct. Nothing wrong in that. Shallow focus earthquakes are more common than deep or intermediate focus earthquakes. See, the earthquakes which have occurred in the recent times, like the Turkey earthquake or the Myanmar earthquakes, are nothing but shallow earthquakes, 10 kilometers deep. The focus was. But shallow earthquakes are more common. There are three types of earthquakes which, according to the focus of the earthquake, we can divide: shallow, intermediate, and deep. And if suppose the focus is from 0 to 70 kilometer, then it's called as shallow. So shallow focus earthquakes are more common than deep or intermediate focus earthquakes. That's also true. And seismic activities occur in clusters. That's true. And Varati-Benioff earthquakes are more powerful. Varati-Benioff is what? It's nothing but the subduction zone where the earthquakes are triggered. So this is also correct. And as far as in which context this question has been asked, this question has been asked in context of what? In context of the recent earthquake which took place in Myanmar. So I told you, if suppose the focus is from 0 to 70 kilometers inside the earth, then it would be called as shallow. From 70 to 300 kilometers, then it would be called as intermediate focus earthquake. And if suppose it is from 300 kilometer to 700 kilometers, then it is called as what? It is referred to as the deep focus earthquake. And as far as these earthquakes are concerned, we can see the reason why the earthquake occurs in Myanmar. Myanmar is a very active zone. It is situated at the convergence of four plates. One is what? One is the Eurasian plate. Second is what? Second is the Indian plate. Third is the Myanmar plate itself, the Burma plate. And fourth is what? Fourth is the Sunda plate. And if you look at India, suppose this is the peninsular India. Now, both sides of India, the coastal region of India, is flanked by two subduction arcs. One subduction arc which is situated in Bay of Bengal is called as the Andaman and Nicobar Sumatra subduction arc. In 2004, when tsunami occurred, why these kind of earthquakes occur in Myanmar? One reason for that is also the subduction of Indian plate under the Burmese plate. So in 2004, the tsunami occurred. It was due to this only. And this activated what? This activated the Andaman and Nicobar Sumatra subduction arc. which was the main cause of 2004 tsunami. Recently also an earthquake has occurred in Myanmar, and we can see there is a fault line in Myanmar which is called as Isagang fault. Mandalay was the focus of the epicenter of the earthquake in Myanmar. But the Sagang fault line got activated. It runs from north to south of Myanmar. And in this context, the question has been asked. So that's the first question. Look at the second question. Which one of the following statement is incorrect? GST is paid at a point where goods and services are consumed. Definitely, nothing wrong in that. GST collection can be used as a proxy for state-wise consumption pattern and consumption levels as a proxy for income levels. What do you think? It's true. Within OTR, own tax revenue of a state, state excise and sales tax contributes more than GST. Let's see. The per capita GST collection of Haryana is more than national average, but that of Punjab is less. So you can pause the question, pause the video, and answer the question. So if we say that first statement, definitely the first statement is correct. GST collection can be used as a proxy for, that's also correct, nothing wrong. Within OTR of a state, that is own tax revenue of a state, state excise and sales tax contributes more than GST. That's wrong, because contribution of GST is more, and the per capita GST collection of Haryana is more than the national average, but that of Punjab is less. Certainly, it's also true. Nothing wrong in this. And as far as the source is concerned, if you talk about, this was a report published by Bank of Baroda last year, and says that the state total tax revenues can be subdivided into two: own tax revenue, OTR, and share in the union taxes. As far as OTR is concerned, 32% is contributed by GST collection. State excise and sales taxes contribute 22%, and stamp and registration 7%. So you can look, just remember this. An average per capita GST collection is rupees 7,029. Punjab stands at 6,572. Haryana 11,005. So you can see Haryana is more than the national average and Punjab is less. But remember, these are states which have GST collection more. Generally, what the southern states have more per capita GST collection than the states of north, with some exception like Haryana as such. So, know about GST. Let's quickly move on to the third question. Yes. Consider the following statements. VLPs, virus-like particles, are molecules that closely resembles viruses and are also infectious. VLPs are used to study viral binding and entry kinematics of viruses. India has developed vaccine for Nipah virus using VLP. What do you think? See, the first statement is incorrect. Why? Because if you are using this to study viruses binding, viral binding, it cannot be infectious. It is not infectious. Non-infectious. First. Second statement is correct, because VLPs are used to study viral binding. That's true, and we would be studying the Nipah virus by VLP only. And India has till now not developed vaccine for Nipah virus. That's also wrong. So the only correct option would be B. Only two. Only two. So remember about VLP. Next. See the next question, the fourth question. Consider the following statements. Usually the smoke of a volcano leads to a cooling of the Earth's surface for a shorter period. Cooling takes place. Underwater volcano can lead to not only ozone layer depletion but also global warming. Sulfur dioxide present in the smoke of a volcano transforms into sulfate aerosols in the atmosphere. How many of the above mentioned statements are correct? See, as far as the first statement, everything is correct. All three, and should know about this. Now, the context in which this report was published in the newspaper is about a volcanic eruption, and that volcanic eruption is nothing but an underwater volcanic eruption, and that volcanic eruption occurred in the year 2022, and this is called as Hunga Tonga volcano. Tonga is what? Tonga Kingdom is in the Pacific. Hunga Tonga volcano. And the smoke of a volcano leads to a cooling of the Earth's surface for a shorter period. That's true. Why? Because when you talk about volcanic eruption, volcanic eruption is responsible for pumping into atmosphere oxides of carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, black carbon, then also acid, dust. All this would be pumped into the atmosphere. First of all, they when they pumped into the atmosphere, they would be forming a layer in atmosphere obstructing solar radiation. So cooling can take place because of that. Second is what? The acid, which is present in the form of mist, small droplets, would be performing albedo phenomena. And not only acid would be performing albedo phenomena. Sulfur dioxide present in the smoke of a volcano transforms into sulfate aerosol in the atmosphere. This is also responsible for this is also responsible for performing albedo phenomena. Clear? So cooling would take place because of this. And the second statement, underwater volcano can lead not only to ozone layer depletion but also global warming. See, whenever underwater volcano would take place, this would be pumping water vapor into the atmosphere. And as far as Hunga Tonga volcano is concerned, a large amount of water vapor was pumped into the atmosphere, which straight away went into the stratosphere, which is a dry region. No rainfall, no clouds there. So dry region. And they stayed in the stratosphere, and we cannot say for what period of time they would be staying there. Now, water vapor is a greenhouse gas, but it's also an ozone depleting substance. And remember that all greenhouse gases are ozone depleting substances. So this was responsible for the ozone hole of Hunga Tonga volcano of 2022. This was responsible for ozone hole of 2023. And the impact of this volcano would be lasting till the year 2029. And that's why we can say the all statements which have been mentioned here are nothing but correct. So all three would be the correct option as such. So that's about the next question 4. Let's see question 5. Which one of the following clearly explains Agni-Ban? It is an interceptor missile developed by DRDO. B. It is a surface-to-surface short-range missile developed jointly by Israel's Aerospace Agency and India's DRDO. It is a name given to cluster bombs developed by India. It's a rocket launched by an Indian private company, and its semi-cryogenic engine is completely 3D printed. What do you think? The correct option for this is D. Because there's a company which launched this Agni-Ban rocket, and this company is called as Agnikul Cosmos last year. And it's very unique. Why? Because semi-cryogenic engine is completely 3D printing. 3D printing has been used in rocket software earlier also, but completely 3D printing has not been used. So that's why it is. It's not that it's for the first time this rocket has been developed by an Indian private company. Earlier also, in 2022, a private company called Skyroot Aerospace developed a rocket called Vikram, launched a rocket called Vikram. So this is for the second time that a rocket has been launched by an Indian private company and it's called as Agni-Ban. Let's see. I've given the details. Agni-Ban Cosmos in 2024 it was launched. November 2020 Skyroot Aerospace launched the Vikram rocket. Let's see the next question. Which one of the following statement related to Pravaha software designed by ISRO is incorrect? the software. And the software has been designed. See, all these statements they are mentioned are correct except one, and that's the first one, because it has been developed by not UR Rao Satellite Center, but had been developed by the Vikram Sarabhi. Tiruvananthapuram. Centers Tiruvananthapuram, not Bangalore as such. And what happens? As far as the space vehicles are concerned, they face problem due to aerodynamics and also the aerothermal loads. So when they enter the atmosphere or when they leave the atmosphere of the Earth, they face problem. And in this context, this software has been developed. So the Pravaha has been used extensively in the Gaganyaan, that's true. It is a computational fluid dynamics software, that's also true. It can stimulate external and internal flows on launch vehicles, winged and non-winged re-entry vehicles. That's true about how I told you that wherever a satellite space vehicle goes out of Earth's atmosphere or re-enters the Earth's atmosphere, it faces some problems, and for this purpose, this software has been developed. Now, question number 7. India has the highest prevalence of this disease in South Asia. And it is one of the most common monogenic disorders of hemoglobin. The biggest challenge of this disease is that the drug used for its cure, hydroxyurea, is available in higher dosage, and attaining formulation for children is difficult. Which disease has been mentioned in the above mentioned line? See, as far as hydroxyurea is concerned, it is used for two diseases. One is sickle cell anemia, sickle cell disease, and second is thalassemia. But we are talking about sickle cell anemia in this context, and that has been only mentioned, not thalassemia. Why? Because the drug is not available in suspension form, so that it can be used by children. Sickle cell anemia is what? It's a genetic disorder, and this genetic disorder is responsible for the shape of RBC getting deformed in the form of a sickle, and this is nothing but related to hemoglobin, the disorder of the hemoglobin. And as far as India's target is concerned, we want sickle cell anemia to be removed by the year 2047. That's our target. So remember about this disease also. That's the other question. See, in UPSC earlier they have asked you question on antibiotic resistance, and they'll continue to do so. But there's a new term, and this is called as insulin resistance. Let's talk about that, because maybe that they can ask you a question on this. Consider the following statements. Insulin resistance happens when cells in the muscles, fat and liver don't respond to insulin. Insulin resistance is also called as impaired insulin sensitivity. It results in increasing blood sugar. Diet high in processed food can lead to insulin resistance. See, it appears that nothing but all these statements are correct. One can say that fat accumulation, particularly the abdomen fat, is one reason. Sedentary lifestyle is another reason. Processed food is another reason. This can lead to insulin resistance. Insulin is responsible for controlling what? It's responsible for controlling the amount of blood sugar. And insulin resistance can lead to what? Type 2 diabetes. So that's why it is in news. Let's see the next question. Match the following and select the correct code. Green hydrogen, blue hydrogen, gray hydrogen, green ammonia. Now, and you have to match it with all these phrases which have been mentioned here. Now, green hydrogen is what? Green hydrogen is produced. It is produced by splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen. And splitting means electrolysis would be used. But for this electrolysis, we can see that renewable energy sources would be used. Renewable sources, solar energy, wind energy would be used. Blue hydrogen is produced by splitting natural gas. When you split natural gas, hydrogen is also produced and CO2 is also produced. Sorry. But CO2 produced is stored and it can be reused. Gray hydrogen, it's also produced by splitting of natural gas. Just wait 1 second. It's also produced by splitting of natural gas. And hydrogen would be produced, but CO2 which is produced in this case would be escaping into the atmosphere and would be having a damaging effect. That's why it is called as gray hydrogen. Green ammonia is produced how? See, when you talk about ammonia production is responsible for carbon emission on a large scale. But green ammonia production is carbon neutral production. And how it is done? First of all, electrolysis of water would take place, splitting of water would take place. From here, hydrogen and oxygen would be produced. And then this hydrogen would be mixed with the nitrogen from atmosphere by Haber-Bosch process. Clear? Haber-Bosch process. So you can see if for A, 2 is the correct option. Fine. So this is the 2134 would be the correct code as such. But remember about green ammonia, and we have launched a green hydrogen mission in the year 2022. But remember what is green hydrogen, blue hydrogen, grey hydrogen, green ammonia. Next question. Consider the following statements. Reverse transcriptase enzyme facilitated rapid and accurate testing of SARS-2 virus along with genome sequencing. Reverse transcriptase was used to convert RNA to DNA and thus estimate the amount of viral material in given sample. Reverse transcriptase is used to study retrovirus. Retroelements in human genome appear to have originated from retrovirus. See, as far as the answer is concerned, all four. In some viruses, we can see a protein which is called as RNA polymerase, and this is responsible for converting RNA into DNA. Now, when suppose clones of DNA is produced and introduced in the bacterial vectors, we can use this method for what? For knowing, gaining knowledge about the genes which are responsible for diseases. And as far as reverse transcriptase is concerned, reverse transcriptase is what? It's an enzyme. Retrovirus is what? Retrovirus has RNA as the genetic material. It replicates with the help of an enzyme which is called as reverse transcriptase. Replicates with the help of an enzyme which is called as reverse transcriptase. So all statements are nothing but correct, which has been mentioned over here. Which one of the following statement related to special category status accorded to states is incorrect? Incorrect, they have asked you. In 1969, the Fifth Finance Commission introduced the mechanism of special category status. That's true. Nothing wrong in that. Factors such as difficult terrain, low population density and or sizable tribal population, location along borders, economic and infrastructure backwardness are considered for this status. Certainly, certain factors would be considered, and all these were the factors. Nothing wrong in this. But what is wrong is this. This system was promoted more by the recommendations of the 14th Finance. In fact, 14th Finance Commission recommended that it should be scrapped. It should be scrapped. And the revenue gap for the state should be filled by devolution of taxes. From 32% to 42% it should be done. This was the recommendation of the 14th Finance Commission. Obviously, the last statement is correct because 11 states in India have been accorded this status. But in what context it has been asked? The context in which it has been asked is that states like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, and Odisha, they want special category status. Andhra Pradesh, why? Because due to bifurcation of the state, revenue crunch is there. Bihar, why? Because on account of its backwardness, wants this status. Odisha, why? Because Odisha is subjected to, sometimes influenced by the natural disasters like tropical cyclone floods, so wants more support for which this status is required. So in that context, this question has been framed. Remember, Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, all these states are demanding what? Special category status. Now, one question. Recently, it is in the news. Consider the following statements. Nilgiri Tahar is the state bird of Tamil Nadu. Karnataka and Tamil Nadu will jointly carry out Nilgiri Tahar census. It is endemic in Western Ghats and nearest relative of this animal is mountain goat. Iravikulam and Silent Valley National Parks offer a great degree of protection to this animal. See, as far as the first statement is concerned, this is definitely true because the state bird, not state bird, state animal it should be. If it is state animal, then it's true. So let's put it state animal, not state bird. I have written, committed a mistake by writing it bird. So Nilgiri Tahar is the state animal of Tamil Nadu. That's true. Let's put it in that way. Karnataka and Tamil Nadu will jointly carry out Nilgiri Tahar census. That's wrong. Why? Because it is in the news. Recently in the newspaper you would have seen it's Kerala and Tamil Nadu because the population of this animal is concentrated in Kerala and Tamil Nadu mainly. It is endemic in Western Ghats and the nearest relative of this animal is mountain goat. See, it is endemic in Western Ghats. But the nearest relative of this is not mountain goat, but it is sheep. That's wrong. This part is wrong. Iravikulam and Silent Valley National Parks offer a great degree of protection to this animal. That's true. Both are situated in Kerala and more than 700 Nilgiri Tahar is present in Iravikulam National Park. That's true. And this animal is what? This animal resembles a sheep. It looks like a goat, but it's relative of what? It's a relative of sheep and has two horns which bend backward like this. And there are rings here. Clear rings over here. And this is nothing but diurnal, acting during daytime. IUCN status, if it asked in examination, it is endangered. And remember that it's diurnal, but it's more active in the morning hours and also late afternoon. So remember about Nilgiri Tahar. Anytime they can frame a question on this. And biodiversity, you know what type of question they ask you in the preliminary examination on biodiversity. So be prepared for that. Which one of the following statement is incorrect? Green bonds are debt instruments issued by the government, corporations and multilateral banks. Issuers generally offer green bonds at a higher yield than conventional bonds. Greenium determines the cost advantage of green bonds, and Government of India formulated a framework for issuing sovereign green bonds in 2022. See, as far as green bonds is concerned, it is meant for what? It's meant for green projects, green investments, energy efficiency. For all these purpose, for reducing emissions, it is meant. So that's the purpose of green bonds. And it is issued by government also, corporations also, and multilateral banks. So first statement is correct. Issuers generally offer green bonds at a higher yield than conventional bonds. That's wrong because they offer it at a low yield. And the difference is called as what? The difference is called as greenium. This difference is called as greenium. And this greenium determines the cost advantage of green bonds. That's true. This is wrong. Clear? Government of India formulated a framework for issuing sovereign green bonds. Sovereign green bonds would be issued only by the government. And that was done in the year 2022. So that's correct. See the last question for today. Al Qasim Brigades is the military wing of which one of the following organization? I think you should answer it. I should not discuss. Because the correct answer is what everybody knows. Hamas or Hezbollah? Hamas. Clear? Hamas. So that's for today. We meet again very shortly and now we'll more frequently continue. And I think this should be helpful for your preliminary examination. Thank you so much.